Life is about three things: avenging your father, saving your mother, killing Fjolnir. The Northman was probably my most anticipated film of the year. I've never been particularly interested in Vikings, but what I am interested in is Robert Eggers, who I think is one of the most exciting young filmmakers working right now. His first two films, The Witch, or the Vavitch, I should say, and The Lighthouse, are two of the best genre films of the last 10 years. The Vavitch took me a few years to come around on, but I consider it really a highlight of 2010's horror now. And The Lighthouse, I think, is just a straight up masterpiece. If you've been watching, it was my number 2 favorite film of 2019. So I think I even mentioned in that video how excited I was for The Northman, and the hype's just been building and building. He somehow got his hands on a big budget, reportedly 70 to 80 million even, to really go for this big vision, because he's a stickler for historical accuracy and real production design and real sets and stuff. So this was really, they went all out for this one, assembled a great cast. So I thought, how could this go wrong? So did it live up to the hype? No. I liked The Northman. It didn't, I mean, to be fair, my hype was like, it's going to be a masterpiece and the best film of the year. So that's not easy hype to live up to. I think it's a very good film that doesn't quite work as well as Eggers' last two efforts. The plot here is actually deceptively quite simple. We follow Amleth, played by Alexander Skarsgard, who we first meet him as a boy when his father, spoiler, but it's in the trailers, you know, his father is killed by his brother, Fjolnir, and Amleth basically dedicates his life to revenge, and we meet him later, and he goes about trying to get that revenge. And yeah, it's set in around the 10th century in Iceland and other areas of Northern Europe. And so it's a glimpse into how Vikings lived, but it's also kind of a character study on just blind vengeance. That's literally all this dude lives on, is hate, anger, and revenge. So, you know, fans of movies titled The Something Man about a character consumed by vengeance are eating pretty good in 2022. So yeah, The Northman, we've got this pretty simple plot, but it's padded out, feels mean. But in true Eggers fashion, we've got a lot of interludes, mythic interludes, where we've got some visions, or we get footage of Viking rituals that, by all accounts, it's the most realistic portrayal of Vikings ever on screen. So I have to give it mad props for that. And I love this kind of stuff. Eggers always does this kind of stuff. And really, The Lighthouse and The Witch have very, very simple narratives too. But in those two films, I really feel like that stuff blended a lot better. And one of my main issues with The Northman is that I don't think the mythic stuff quite meshes with the actual narrative, in that in his other films, they really converge and become just this one thing, this one descent into hell. But in this one, they really do feel like separate entities, and this mythological stuff, while yeah, really, really freaking cool and true to Viking lore, feels more aesthetic than organic. It feels like it's there to be visually interesting and cool, and it doesn't really go with the narrative, which really is just kind of about a dude who wants revenge. Not much else happens outside of that, which is fine. I don't mind a simple movie, but I don't know, I maybe wanted something a little bit more interesting on a thematic or character level. There's not a lot to latch onto in terms of character. Aside from Anya Taylor-Joy's character, there isn't really anyone who I was rooting for. Amleth's more just interesting as just this beast of a man, this animal, this specimen of rage. And, you know, there is some conflicts, revenge is bad sort of stuff, but it comes in pretty late and it felt a little bit half-hearted. I really did like The Northman. On a visual craft level, absolutely incredible. You know, you really feel like you're there. The score is insane, and I think it's by a couple of first-time film composers. Cinematography is wonderful. It's shot in a lot of really, really long takes, and that was kind of their big challenge they set themselves on this, to, instead of just shooting a lot in a day, let's plan one long take and just spend the whole day getting that right. And it really, really pays off. There's some really, really cool stuff in this. Like, there's a scene where they're raiding a village. Dude, the bit where Skarsgård catches a spear and then throws it back. Oh, so cool, dude. The climactic fight scene is really, really great. So yeah, if you're a fan of like Viking violence and blood and gore, you definitely get your share of that. It is more artsy and weird that you might be expecting if you're just going and expecting like the Vikings TV series, but it definitely fulfills that bloodlust too. In terms of cast, yeah, we got Skarsgard, who gives really one of the most impressive physical performances I've ever seen. I don't know if there's a lot going on emotionally or behind the eyes. Like, I wasn't really able to connect to his character, but just what a brute of a man. Like, what a beast. He is huge in that. He's absolutely yoked. It's so animalistic. A lot of the time he's just literally roaring, and it really is a sight to behold. Anya Taylor-Joy probably has the second meatiest role in this as a slave woman who he befriends while he's looking for Fjolnir, and they sort of they fall in love and they decide to work together on this stuff. And she's really, really great. You can tell she really loves working with Robert Eggers. I think she wanted to play the mermaid in The Lighthouse, and Eggers said, no, you don't want to play that mermaid. So, yeah, I do wish maybe her character had a little bit more to do than just being the love interest of the main character. But she really does a lot with what she's given, especially a certain scene on a boat where I'm sure you've probably seen a bit of it in the trailer. She's really, really phenomenal in that scene. Everyone sort of gets a big scene for them. I thought Claes was great. I really like him as an actor. He was bloody great in The Square. But since then, he's kind of just been in a string of kind of crappy movies. So it's really nice to see him back on a great movie. And he's actually one of the most interesting parts of this film as Fjolnir. Nicole Kidman, I think maybe gives the best performance in the film. Actually, I've been watching a lot of her films over the last few weeks, just out of coincidence. But she plays Amleth's mother, and she's not in it a ton, but when she's in it, it's kind of a brutal performance, and not in like a Skarsgård roar kind of way, in a psychological way. Like, without giving away spoilers, she gets a couple scenes in this where she lets loose, and she is like, yeah, she kills it. She really owns it when it's her time to own it. And yeah, I thought she might have actually been my favorite part of the film, which I wasn't really expecting. Willem Dafoe, he's not in it very much, but he's delightful when he's there. Ethan Hawke, not in it much, but he really sells it when he is there. He really understood the assignment, I think. And another person that one of the reasons I was really, really excited for this was Bjork is in it, who, if you don't know, she's my favorite musical artist. Hasn't been in a film in a very, very long time because she had such a bad experience shooting Dancer in the Dark, which is a film I love, but also fuck you, Lars von Trier, for the way you treated her on that set. You're a bastard, but she's phenomenal in that. So I'm really excited to see her back on screen in a film that's really connected to her heritage. She's not in it much. In fact, she's only in one scene, but it was a pretty bloody good scene. So it was still nice to see her on screen again. I think The Northman is a big step down from Eggers' last two films, but even a big step down means you're still getting a pretty damn good film. And I see that a lot of people are loving it, which is a pleasant surprise, because while I didn't love it, I really do hope it's successful, because it's so rare that a studio takes a big swing on a film like this. And I'm really glad that Eggers is trying to make a sort of big budget epic that we don't get anymore, because The Northman is an epic. It feels epic. And people who I necessarily didn't expect to enjoy it are really, really loving it. I do think there's an element of it's too artsy to be commercial, and it's too commercial to work as an art film, and that was kind of my main issue with it. But it seems most people are loving it, and I'm kind of glad they are. But considering it was my most anticipated of the year, and I think Lighthouse is just a masterpiece, I wanted a little bit more to chew on from The Northman. I don't think the pleasures it offers were quite enough to outweigh how empty and hollow it felt at times. So yeah, I dug it. I wanted a bit more from it. The Northman, I am going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I probably laid down a few too many criticisms for a movie that I'm still giving a 7.5. But again, it is immaculately made. The performances are excellent. It truly gives you some stuff that you've never seen on screen before. But there was just not much going on upstairs for this one. And I wanted, for a movie that long, I think I needed a little bit more in terms of character to really get on board with it. So that's it for my review of The Northman. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd. All that stuff's in the description. More reviews coming soon. What did you think of The Northman? Have a good one.